This week, I want to share with you one thing that private investigators never talk about. Hi, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, which is premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. The one thing private investigators never talk about is the struggle, just how darn difficult it is to make a living if you're running your own detective agency or in this business. And I think this is the case for entrepreneurs in general. A lot of times we have things that we love or that we want to do, and we struggle with getting the client. The tough part, and I've said this so many times, is getting the client, getting the work. And I've made a few notes here because I want to really make sure that I don't miss an important thing to tell you. And the reason this comes up is because I recently was reading about the suicide rate for entrepreneurs and that it's higher than for the population in general. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if the source is accurate or not, but it did get me to thinking. And if you're watching this, if you're the type of person who runs your own business, you're doing a service thing like private investigations or process serving or just about anything. I mean, any entrepreneur, lawn care or whatever it might be, it can be a struggle to make ends meet. And that can really weigh on you to the point where some people think about hurting themselves. If you are thinking about hurting yourself, if you are thinking about suicide, the next thing you have to find online is a resource for that. As a matter of fact, I don't even know that you should really be searching online necessarily for a resource for that, so much as just immediately reaching out, dialing the phone, and talking to someone, either your suicide hotline, call 911, talk to the police, talk to the paramedics, somebody about getting help. It's absolutely imperative that you reach out on this. The demons in you, and I use that term a little bit loosely here, but there's a part of you that says, this is something I can't share with anyone. There will be judgment or problems or repercussions. And the more you hear that inside of you that I just can't share this with anyone, it should be a stronger and stronger indication that you probably do need to reach out for help. So stepping away from that, presuming that you're not suicidal, and God, I hope you're not, let's talk about some practical things to make this struggle easier for you, because here's what happens is you hear the success stories. You hear about the companies, the social media companies that become unicorns, these $1 billion value companies. You always hear about the success stories. You don't hear about the failures. The failure stories, the only time you hear about them is when the guy or gal who's wildly successful is telling you the before version of their story, when they were living out of their car, when they were homeless, that type of thing, and how they finally turned it around. There's what is called an observational bias on this. As an investigator, you should know about observational bias. It's just when your mind picks up on certain things and shows them to you disproportionately. And the observational bias in this case comes because, yes, people are putting their success stories online. People are putting that out there. Nobody is failing and failing over and over again and putting that out online. If I hadn't been successful as a private investigator, as a process server, running my own business, my own detective agency, do you think I'd be here teaching you or talking to you about it? No. I'd be doing something else right now. So you're seeing success online over and over again. But the people who struggle and don't succeed, and there's a lot of reasons that it's hard to succeed, many of which, I will be honest with you, probably are not your fault. Maybe you're just missing a piece of something you need to know. Everybody does this. They're good at something, they love something, they open a business, and they tend to fail, and it's because they miss the sales or marketing part of it. So let me talk to you here about, if you're running a detective agency or working for yourself as a private investigator, some things that will help you with the struggle, this struggle that no private investigator talks about. You go to the conventions, you're a member of your state association, and you talk to people, and boy, they are just not going to tell you that they're hurting. If you have a dear friend in the business, they will confide to you what's really going on, and a lot of times it's rough. A lot of times it's very rough. So let me talk to you today here and say, for number one, this will help you, and bear with me, it's going to sound commonsensical, but it's about cash flow. It's not necessarily about accumulating $1 million in the bank, doing that well. You can accumulate some wealth. A lot of times for everyday people like you and me, that involves maybe a Roth IRA where you're putting money in automatically every month, and over the years you accumulate wealth. But let me say, cash flow is really king. You keep your debts down. If you're thinking about opening a business, pay down your debt as much as you can. If you're not giving your money away to Visa and MasterCard every month, that money is something that you can keep and use for yourself to grow your business or to add to your retirement account. So cash flow is everything. Try to be getting that extra money coming in every month from cases and from business. And if you're, I've talked about this many times before, don't quit your day job. That's going to put more pressure on you and make it harder for you to take cases. And you're going to take cases that you wouldn't normally take under if you had the financial means, if you had some money coming in. So keep your day job while you get started and work on cash flow, picking up, doing services. And I've got some videos out there about how different ways you can increase your cash flow or add money at the end of each month to your business. And one of those, I talk about it all the time, is process serving. It's a fairly straightforward way to get in with a law firm or a few law firms. You should be. And serving process, and you're going to discover, okay, every month I can pretty much count on X number of dollars coming in, $200 from process serving or $350 from process serving or whatever it might be. You might have a month where you only serve one pack and you got $50. The next month, two of those law firms are going to pick up big cases and you're going to find yourself running around like crazy serving 8, 10, 12 packets. But you'll know on average what you're going to make. So work on cash flow. That's going to put a great deal of relief on you. Something that was a game changer for me, a game changer. And for the people who've clicked away already, they've lost out. This may be the most important thing I tell you in the whole video. Really keeping track month to month on the money that comes in and the money that goes out. Write it down. Keep a spreadsheet if you have to, a worksheet. But when you look at the end of the month and you say, oh my goodness, I can't believe I spent so much money on office supplies, right? Printer, ink, or toner, copy paper. You start to say, why am I printing out so many things? Cut back on the things you can cut back on. Those expenses really do sneak up on you if you don't keep track of them. Likewise, when you start to keep track of the money coming in, you're very quickly going to be able to say, oh, I didn't realize how much money I was making from this source or that source or this client. And you can try to get more business like that. Look at other clients that are like that. So if you find yourself doing some pretty reliable, good pre-employment screening for a company, look at that company and say, what is it about them that is making me money? And you say, well, maybe they're a smaller company than what you thought. Maybe you thought only companies with 500 or 1,000 employees need a pre-employment screening. Maybe it's, so maybe they have very few employees, but they have a higher turnover and they need more pre-employment screening. Likewise, maybe it's a larger company that's paying off for you and you want to pursue other companies that look like that company, either the smaller or the larger or the rural or whatever it might be, manufacturing, information technology. Look at your clients that are paying you well and find more clients like that. Let me say also, be seeking leads every day. You should constantly be sending out and looking for leads one way or another. This will seem like an expense at first until you get kind of the formula, until you figure out what works. The sales letter that works well for you, or the potential clients that you're reaching out to, law firms, for example. Prior to working what I do now, I actually ran a brick and mortar business. I don't tell a lot of people this. I don't know that I've even shared it with you before, but I ran a brick and mortar business and I mailed out $500 a month in printing and postage, and through the U.S. mail, I mailed a newsletter out, $500 a month. And I'm trying to remember the numbers that were involved, but $500 a month is what I spent on that. But every single month it brought me back so much more money. Those people would come in and shop with me. And the months that I skipped it, either mostly because of laziness or time got away from me, I really felt the pinch. I get to the end of the month, I'd be doing my numbers and I'd say, where did the money go? And I realized I didn't do the outreach. Of course, nowadays with email and other things, you can be reaching out to your clients very economically. But I really caution you, don't skip the snail mail if that's one of your things. But either way, current clients that you have, you need to be reaching out to, but be seeking leads every day. If you get to where you're going to roll into bed at night and go to sleep and you realize, I haven't sent out an inquiry, a mailing, done something to at least one possible new client, a law firm, a human resources department, whatever it might be, Get out of bed and make it happen. Mail that letter, send the email, whatever it is that you do to generate leads, because that's going to accumulate over time, making you some really good money. Finally, I'm not big on social media. I just am not a big social media guy. But if you do social media, don't forget it. Keep up with it and do it consistently. You know, I'm here every Tuesday putting out new videos, new content, new blog listing. And if you like the videos, watch the videos. I have some podcasts over at shadowanyone.com. If you just like to brief through and look at the written material, look at the blog entries each week, because that's where I really clean up the things that I share with you here into a nice bullet point format where you can see it and read it and glance over it and pick what you like and don't like very quickly. So in conclusion, if you're struggling, don't worry. Everybody struggles. It just happens and nobody's talking about it. So don't feel like you're alone. You're not alone. We all have gone through that. This is Larry Kaye with shadowanyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.